Yeah, so I'm an early Bitcoin adopter, funded BitPay, Armory, and Kraken. And for this panel, Armory's one of the leading enterprise level wallet solutions. So we do the wallet security for exchanges and a lot of the businesses that run in Bitcoin.
I'm Thomas Franz, so I'm co-founder of Ledger. So at Ledger, we design, we produce, and resell hardware and software security solution to make Bitcoin safer. So we're a team of 16 now, based in Paris and San Francisco. We raised $3 million of VC and VC seed round. And our flagship is the Ledger Wallet Nano. So it's a USB smart card to keep your Bitcoin safe on a secure element like a smart card, same thing that you have on a credit card. And we shipped in about a bit more than 100 countries, a bit south of 10,000 products. So things are going well so far.
Okay, thank you. So let me understand, you're yet only hardware solution.
It's not actually, it's strange to understand, but we are not a hardware company in a way that our core value is really on our operating system that relies on hardware components, that relies on a hardware secure zone to be leveraging those security features to keep the private keys in this secure environment and to execute transaction signature, seed derivation directly within secure, trusted environment. But after that, we leverage some secure zone. The first secure environment that we could leverage easily were smart cards. Smart card is, as I said, the same thing that you have on a credit card. So it's something that was widely used in the banking industry, that was widely monetized, that was widely tested thoroughly and thoroughly. So that was the best secure environment we could rely on.
Okay. So, but if I understand well, you are not giving services, yes, of security beyond what you're developing in the platform.
Exactly.
Okay.
We sell hardware and software, and then they set up their private keys. We don't hold custody of the Bitcoin, basically.
Though Armory does offer services.
Yeah, so there are two branches with Armory. There's ATI, which produces the open source software, which is everybody can use it, download it for free. That's the wallet that most people who hold large amounts of Bitcoin use. We don't actually know how many Bitcoins anybody holds or anything like that, because you're able to download the software and prove that it was signed via the PGP key from our developers. Occasionally we'll provide some support to people, they lose their software or whatever, and just from people that have contacted us for support, those people have held in excess of 500,000 Bitcoins. So there's probably, $1 to $2 billion at least that's secured by the Armory wallet in the ecosystem. Then there's also another branch of the business called Armory Key Management Services, and that provides the enterprise level security services. So if you're an exchange and you want to implement a security plan with proper governance procedures and segregation of duties, then that's where they would come in and provide those consulting services and would design that plan, would divide everything up. And we actually have additional software that would come under a license, and it has what's called Armory Quorum, multi-crypt, smart card integrations. So it uses things like the Ledger wallet to properly distribute the keys so that there's no single point of failure. Because if you're managing tens or hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin, you want to be able to segregate the duties among lots of different people. You want to be able to rotate managers in and out without having to go and redo all of the key generation ceremonies and the private key ceremonies and things like that.
Okay, you keep talking about the Bitcoins itself, but I guess it's also if you're using the blockchain as another thing and you need those keys to be kept in a secure way.
Yeah, so, and this gets kind of back into the history. So in March of 2011 is when the Armory project got started, and you can think of it as a fork of the Bitcoin project. So originally the Bitcoin reference implementation, you had network consensus and then security of the private keys. and the generation and security of the private keys. And those are really two different functions. And so when I funded the Armory project, that was to focus solely on securing and generating the private keys, whereas Bitcoin Core is the network consensus. So you can think of it, there's network consensus and then there's economic consensus. And Armory actually runs on top of Bitcoin Core. And so you run and operate your own full node, which gives you all of the additional privacy benefits that comes from doing that. You don't want network analysis to be able to reverse engineer your security plan and know who needs to be kidnapped or whatever in order to compromise it. So, if you want to build a real serious enterprise level solution, Armory is software for that type of a use case.
Okay, so I want to make a much easier question. Yes, it's actually the same question that it's behind us, how to keep your Bitcoin safe, but not in the most hard way. No, I would say if a normal user, yes, which would be your advice to really keep your Bitcoin safe? It's just an advice for a user.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So I mean, first, if you've only got $50 of Bitcoin, you only really need to put $50 of thought into keeping it safe. If you've got $10,000 of Bitcoin, you might want to put more thought into it. If you've got tens and tens of millions of dollars of Bitcoin, then you need to put a whole lot more thought into keeping it safe. And you have to look at that return on investment, that cost, plan for the future. Like one of my friends, I'd helped him buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, and I get a ping from him on Skype a few years, like 18 months later. All his Bitcoins had been compromised. They were in a web-based wallet. $1.5 million worth, just poof, gone because that private key had been compromised. He took the personal responsibility that when he had $100 of Bitcoin, he only put $100 of thought into keeping it secure. When he had $1.5 million of Bitcoin, he was still only putting $100 of thought into keeping it secure. You got $50, $100, maybe even $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, Bread Wallet, CoPay, Airbits, those are really good solutions. You get $10,000, $100,000 of Bitcoin. Things like Ledger Wallet can be a very good solution. You want to have that air gap so that Armory innovated the entire concept of cold storage and also the hierarchical deterministic chain along with Gregory Maxwell. And so you want to be able to have a single paper backup of all the keys. You want to be able to generate all that on an offline computer. These are some of the basics when it comes to securing large amounts of Bitcoin. And you want to be able to do it on software that that the cryptography is being executed appropriately also.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, it depends of the amount you want to secure. And it's better to take the good decision from the beginning because as price of Bitcoin rise and as you buy more Bitcoin or something like that, you still rely on the same security that you decided initially. So yeah, indeed, there are some solutions, some wallets on your phone that are safe enough, that rely on some secure zone. Bread leverages, like for example, the secure enclave to store the seed. Their apps, iPhone apps, are more secure in a way than some other Android one. But again, solution like Ledger, we want to make it as affordable as possible. Today, this one costs like $30. We've got a low-cost version at $15, and with volume, we want this price to go as low as maybe $5. If we get to hundreds of thousands of units, it can go to as low as that. And also, there's something that is security can be cumbersome, in a way, because you have to make a multi-signature. It's more complicated than having just a single wallet. Having a large password is more complicated than having a stupid password. But there are some ways to make it as seamless as possible. And there's one thing that is going to change, I guess, in the next five years. Well, 1 to 5 year, it's some secure zones that are already existing in the smartphone that can be leveraged and that will make it as secure as possible though remaining as easy, more easy. So these are like, for example, the trusted execution environment from Trustonic that equip most Android phone. And on the new flagship, you've got the Samsung S5, S6, S5, those kind of thing. You've got this trusted execution environment with a trusted UI, meaning that, and Ledger is integrated in that TEE. And basically, you can delegate all the key management in that secure zone that is totally isolated from the Android OS. Okay. So it's already in beta today with Mycelium and Greenbit, and we hope to be integrated with other wallets. Because we are Ledger Wallet, we have a wallet, but we also want to provide that technology for other wallets to leverage those security features, those hardware security features.
Yes, we had in the last conference, we had someone talking exactly about the trusted executor zone. I don't remember the name actually, but he was the one who was working in developing this on Samsung. And
yeah, clearly it's something that is
it's very interesting.
Very interesting and very powerful for securing.
So this drives me to the question I was expected to do also, which is security versus or with ease of use. No, it's this security versus easy of use.
Oh yeah, convenience and security.
Sorry, ease of use. What do you think? Are they really opposites? It's
yeah, I don't think so. Today, it can be seen as that. For example, if you want to secure your Bitcoin as much as possible, you set up an offline computer, you buy a hardware wallet. It's more complicated than just having something. But I really think that it's going to be with some technology like trusted execution environment, with more hardware wallets coming on the market, with hardware security modules. It's like server-side hardened servers that can do some key management as well without with a limited risk of compromission. So there will be some more tools for Bitcoin to have some security features that run on the background in a way, and it won't destroy in a way the user experience as it can do today. So I'm pretty sure it doesn't need to be like YOLO, you only live once and you...
So we are not yet there, but you think we will get to this ease of use?
I'm pretty sure
for my mother.
Yeah. Well, after it's Bitcoin, I explain Bitcoin to your mother, it's something else, you know? So
I'm still trying to explain her. Anyway, okay.
But for security, yeah.
And what's your thought?
Yeah, so on the consumer level of usage, we've seen vast improvements on the convenience and security spectrum. On the enterprise level, you don't necessarily want to have this convenience if it in any way compromises the security, because there is absolutely no margin for error when you're protecting Bitcoin private keys. When you're protecting private keys for something else, and there's an entire industry, information system security standards industry for protecting private keys, you can have margin for error and you can build in second or third redundancies. But in the case of Bitcoin, if those private keys are compromised, you can't restore a backup. Like the Bitcoins got sent somewhere. And so, you know, having FIPS certified devices, having hardware security modules, and we actually already have code built for all of this with Armory that gets implemented, having intentionally designing the security procedures so that it is difficult for somebody where the person who signs doesn't necessarily have possession of the device that has the keys on it, and it has to be brought to them and then opened by someone else. Well, now you're segregating duties and making it more difficult. And then you know that when you follow the private key ceremony checklist and the independent segregated witnesses on all of this stuff, and you can know and you can prove that you're using FIPS certified hardware, that it was manufactured in a particular way, that it wasn't compromised, that you can go down the checklist, boom, 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 and then you can have your tamper evident bags where some of these devices are in, and that way you know whether a particular part of the private key was compromised. Because with Armory Quorum, we implement multi-sig, so you might require a 7 of 12 quorum, but then of the of those 12 wallets, we can also use Shamir secret sharing to split those up so that you might require 3 of 5. And so it might be London, New York, and Singapore, or it might be the insurance company, the trust company, the CEO, the CFO, and someone else. And that way you can split up and segregate all of this stuff. And then when the CEO or the CFO takes a new position, you're able to rotate in and out a new manager without having to redesign the entire, recreate all the keys in the entire system. So, security, if you want absolute security, then you would go with something like Armory. If you want to, and then you can move down the scale to something that's more convenient. Is Armory the most convenient and easy to use thing? Not really, but if you're going to run your own full node, if you're going to perform your own economic consensus of the blockchain, and you want to be able to absolutely prove that your private keys were generated and not able to be compromised, and you want to be able to have a checklist that happens every 3 months where you look at all the tamper-evident bags and you look at the policies and procedures and make sure that everything's happening in accordance with what's needed for your auditors in order to maintain these fiduciary duties, then that's the type of tool that Armory is.
So we always have this sense of things are free, are cheap, you can do it yourself. And finally, when you want to do them right, there's always a cost associated to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm heavily security focused, and when you look at all the major exchanges, they've pretty much all had a security incident. Bitfinex, Bitstamp lost $5 million. Kraken hasn't had a security incident, fortunately. BitPay, even at BitPay, we lost $1 million worth of Bitcoin at BitPay. It was very unfortunate. And actually, had they been using Armory properly, that particular attack vector would not have even been possible. That entire attack surface would have been foreclosed. So, it's kind of frustrating. We need to work and learn from other people, because just because we're good software developers doesn't necessarily mean that we're good security systems architects.
Great. So, well, just one small additional question. Yes, do you think that biometrics will be part of the future of security? I mean, it's the easiest way, no? Just your fingertip, it's easy to use.
I think your fingerprint can be easily taken. My fingerprint is here, so you can take it and you can unlock my Bitcoin with that. So I guess there's some ease of use on that. A PIN is also something that is more reliable in a way to protect, well, not your Bitcoin, but your access to your Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really like the idea of using biometrics as a password or a private key, because it's, for the most part, out in the open. Maybe as a username, but not as the password.
Okay. Well, let's open this to the audience. Franco, could you help me?
You make the translation for us?
Yes. No. Yes. No. Actually, you could try. Well, I will make it. Anything you want to?
This is a question for Trace about Armory. Have you been thinking on adding like an out-of-band protocol for joining wallets like Copay?
Yeah, we've definitely thought about that. Developer resources are scarce, so we haven't. I'd actually like to see something with BitMessage being able to move. That way we don't have to email around like a lockbox transaction or something. But yeah, I mean, it just hasn't. It's not top on the priority list.
Because it's more practical to join wallets instead of exchanging.
Right. Yeah, it's on the to-do list, right?
Hi. There's a lot of talk about security in digital Bitcoin keys, and that's essential. But have you guys put any thought into or how to secure backups, especially paper wallet backups or actual device backups? Because fundamentally, your Bitcoin is as secure as your backup is, I think. So.
Yes, I mean, with Armory, we like the paper backup for the consumer usage, because, and you can laminate it and you can go hide it based on geolocation coordinates or something like that. at the end of the day, the private keys are held by the individual. That's one of the primary reasons I funded Armory, was so that individuals could hold and generate their own private keys. And so however people want to do that, if you build the security plan, you're going to have tamper-evident bags, and the backups will probably be printed off and put in there and stuff like that.
More questions?
So is there any final thought you would like to give?
I don't have any more Ledger wallets, so I cannot sell you anymore. So, but you're gonna go on the website, get a Ledger wallet, and play around.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand the importance of economic consensus when it comes to the blockchain. We have network consensus rules, but also economic consensus. And everybody who's running a full node and validating their own transactions gets a vote. You actually get to participate in this grand experiment. And I'd also highly recommend the importance of respecting the private keys. If you don't respect the private keys, you're probably going to lose them. And as somebody asked one of our Armory developers, like, why use Armory? Because whoever steals your Bitcoins will. So, hopefully you don't get your Bitcoin stolen. If you put in the thought, the tools are there, they're free, they're open source, just don't be lazy.
Great. Well, the only final thought I wanted to remember is that we're not only talking about Bitcoins, but most of the blockchain developments work based on these signatures. Yes,
Yeah, same. It's all blockchain agnostic. Today we use Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the #1 blockchain, but it's basically blockchain agnostic.
Yes, but I mean, people building solutions based on blockchain, things that they're eventually not money. Yes, they also need to keep an eye very open on how they manage their signatures. No, that's the.
Yeah, I mean, private keys are private keys. Whether it's for Litecoin or Dash or whatever it is. I mean, with Armory, we currently only support Bitcoin private keys, but entropy is entropy.
Okay. Well, thank you.